I want to start from the humble beginnings before you became these multi-hyphenated personas, and I want to kind of always like start the beginning. Where all started for you, your childhood. Uh, Two parent household, one parent, single parent household, brothers, sisters. I want to see what the upbringing was like. Did you have like the experience of humble beginnings where you had to, ration out food and have bunk beds and, listening to music, having fun, sharing one TV? Or did you have a different type of upbringing where, you was driven back and forth to school, or you had, more than most, where, some people may, be jealous of that. So I just want to get more of your upbringing. And I know you probably wear junior to your name because you wanted to make sure that I add that. So I want to get more about your relationship with your dad as well, because it just seemed like you wanted to proudly represent the junior part. So I just want to get all of that in there.
Yes, I do. And so yeah, I grew up both a two-parent household. I had both of my parents. We had a good childhood growing up. I saw, they was together up until 2022 when my mom passed away.
Sorry,
so
my condolences.
Yeah, thank you. So they was together the whole time, and
wonderful.
So I saw I had a good childhood. The decisions I made might not have reflected that.
Right.
But I had a supportive mom and dad at home. I grew up in DC initially. I started out in DC, in Northwest, and I never forget. My dad told me, because we stayed around Sursum Quarters. It's a projects that was in Northwest DC, and
okay. I was about to ask you. That's where you from, DC? That's where you from originally?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So he came outside one day and he saw me out there with my uncles. And my uncles, they was shooting some dice, and they was like, "Come on, nephew, you blowing the dice. You my luck." And they were shooting dice. And when my dad saw that, he said, "Nah, we got to get you out of here. We gotta move." So we ended up moving out to Maryland. And so that's where I grew up majority of my childhood. So I say the first quarter of my life, a majority of my childhood, that's where I grew up in PG County, Maryland, in Capitol Heights.
Okay.
And a single family household. So we had apartments. If we moved into an apartment in New Carrollton, then we moved into another apartment, and then they finally got a house, and that was our house that we grew up in. So yeah, I have two sisters.
Two sisters.
I am the oldest.
You're okay.
Mm-hmm. I am the oldest, and I mean, we didn't have a bad childhood. Like, our parents were able to provide for us. We had meals every night. If they were struggling, we didn't see it.
Got it.
If we were struggling, we didn't see it. Because of the neighborhood that we lived in, some of my choices and decisions as a child, it didn't replicate the household that I grew up in, like so many of us.
Yes, they always quick. Yeah, they always quick to blame the parents. What your mom and dad teach you? And it's not always the case. So I'm glad you put that out there. So before we get any further, because you mentioned about you rebelling, when did that start? What age did that start? So I can kind of establish a timeline.
That was probably more so about 11, 12. It might have started when my sister was born. I was the only child for a long time.
Oh, okay.
When sister came, I was like, "Oh man,
you got mad. Okay, you got
it. Share now."
Okay, because I want to make sure, because I'm going to bookmark that, because I want to get, but I want to kind of get just a little bit more of a lead up. So, you said but aside from that, you're saying that, you was one of those that, you still strayed, even though you had a decent upbringing, even though you might have conflicts within, because like you said, you had a little bit extra bit of estrogen because you had two sisters, right? So all that alone, I know that, at least you had, your father there. So at least that was, it kind of balanced it out a little bit. Mm-hmm. So, So let me ask you that. With that being said, and I know that there were times that you were expected to be the protector of your sisters, even though your father was there, but you had to be the protector as well. In different elements, whether it was school or in the neighborhood and stuff like that. So, what are some of the ways that you say that you had a decent upbringing? Like, can you tell us in your perspective what that looked like?
What I think that looked like is, I had supportive parents. Um, we had food on the table every night. We had clothes on our back. Each of us had our own room.
Okay.
It wasn't much that we needed. It might not have been the Jordans all the time and this and that and the third, but we had, so that's why I say we had a good upbringing. Like it wasn't some stories that I hear.
Got you. And I'm glad to hear that. But let me ask you also, because like I said before, that you might have some turbulence, sometimes within the family dynamic. So, can you share some of the most challenging times that you had, that you look back on it? Because sometimes you don't realize that there are challenges until you get older and you have more perspective, right? Because a lot of times when we revere people like our parents and other adults, we revere them when we're younger, but then when we get older, we tend to judge them. I mean, that happens when we know more. So I just wanted to ask you, as you gotten older, what are some of the things you look back on that was, challenges that you had to deal with growing up?
You talking about in the family dynamic?
Family dynamic, yes, in the
Family
household.
dynamic. So
Because I want to be as realistic too. Even though I'm glad that you was able to share the fact that
right.
you had a good upbringing. Because most people don't have to be blessed with that. But I just want to give a little bit a touch of reality too. That's all.
Yeah. Have I really ever thought about that? So I would say, my mom was tough. So as my wife say, sometimes she say that's that Burgess in you. So the Burgess side of my family, my mom's side, they real tough. They real stern. They're vocal. They can.
Mm-mm. Okay, yeah, he's on frozen. Yeah, Jeff is frozen, so hopefully he'll come back soon. But he was saying that his mother was more of the disciplinarian in the family, and so and he was saying that um, the most of the mother side of the family was more tougher when it came to raising raising the children. So that's what he was saying. So hopefully he'll be back soon. Like I said before, please pardon these difficulties, because it's not our fault, you guys. These things happen, unfortunately, and we don't like for it to happen. Maybe he may need to go out and come back in again. Maybe that might help. Yeah. So yeah, he may have to come out and come back in. So hopefully that would be better. Oh, I see you moved.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened. I apologize.
Yes, I say, let me just continue to talk to the audience so that way. But like I told him, I said, it's not our fault. I mean, these things happen, and it's frustrating for us because it just comes at the inopportune times. But
Yeah.
but I was just telling just kind of recapping what you were saying about your mother being more of the disciplinarian. And what I was about to ask you was that was your mom? Do you find that at the time was your mom more tougher on you as the boy than the girls? Because sometimes it happens that way where there's more you know, there's more favor
Oh yeah.
towards.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Because my mom grew up with several brothers and uncles, and so she was like, "Look, he gonna be tough. He ain't
Mm,
gonna be no punk. He ain't gonna be crying. He gonna be tough. Yeah, we give him. We give him what he need, but he gonna be tough. So because I did pick up some of the Burgess genes, like me and her would bump heads sometimes. I say that me and my mom would bump heads sometimes. So, I mean, that was one of the struggles, and that would lead me. I mean, especially as I started getting into my, adolescence age and becoming a teenager, and wanting to do what I want to do, and she like, no, you gonna do what I tell you to do, and so we would bump heads in that way. So I think just normal family dynamics that yeah, well, so I still definitely had to deal with that. So that was probably a struggle for a while. It wasn't until I got older that I had my own child that I
Yes.
realized, like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I see what mom's was doing.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. That always happens.
You know.
Always happens. Like okay, you
Yeah.
have that moment there. But who as in your perspective, who was the favorite? Who was your mom's favorite? Who was your dad's favorite?
I think my mom's favorite was my middle sister.
Okay.
She was the goody two shoes.
Ah,
She was the one that got it right. You know, she went to church every Sunday, and you
okay,
know,
okay.
she the one that got it right. I mean, you know, and my dad, I don't know. It probably I was difficult, man. I was difficult. Like I used to run away a lot. I used to want to be outside the house all times of night.
Yeah, why are you so difficult? Because
I told you my choices didn't reflect the household that I was brought up in.
I understand that part, but Jeff, I mean, but why? Like I'm saying, like why did you feel the need to rebel that way? You know, it had to be a reason.
I just wanted to do what I wanted to do.
Okay,
Like I was strong headed. I wanted to do what I wanted to do, and that was it. Like I wanted it my way. It was my life. I'm gonna do what I want to do. That's how I felt.
yeah. Okay, I understand. I totally understand. And sometimes when you are sheltered, like you said, that you and your mom locked horns at times. So I think you wanted to kind of like, show out. You were smelling yourself, and you wanted
Hold on. Did you just call me sheltered? You just called me sheltered.
Yes, I did.
Okay, sheltered.
Yeah,
Nah,
yeah.
I
So,
definitely get it.
so what is some of your I like to think about. I like people to talk about
So I gotta move. This is lightning. Go ahead. I'm listening.
yeah, I hear that glare, right? No, I was going to ask you, what are some of the memories you could share? Like did y'all, like, like I said, did y'all, take turns watching the TV or fight over it? Or did you have like music that y'all like to dance to? Like memories of going on your vacation, visiting relatives, like, or, just, playing until the street lights came on. Like, give me some memories.
Oh, the man, we talking about myself and my sisters, man. Me and my sisters used to fight over the phone. That's what we used to fight over.
Yes,
You
yes,
know, you got that one landline in the house.
yes.
You got that one landline in the house. So it's like, nah, it's my turn to use the phone. My turn to use the phone. Man, I used to unplug the phone and hide the phone. And so it was times I used to get on punishment, right? And when I would get on punishment, my room was in the basement, and my mom would unplug the phone in the basement and take it upstairs. And she would put it in my sister's room and tell my sister, don't let me get the phone. Man, I go in there and I just rough it. I'd be like, man, and then I'd be on the phone all day. And before moms come home, I take the phone, write it back up, put it back in the room, be like, don't tell. Yeah, we used to fight over that phone. I would say church. Church was one of the things when I was younger, because I wanted to be out in the streets. My family had a strong faith background. Like my mom went to church. She was a minister. It was choir rehearsal. It was,
Yeah, okay.
Everything. So, during the week, come on, we're going to choir rehearsal. Come on, we're going to Bible study.
It was a PK. Oh.
No, I wasn't a PK. She wasn't a pastor. She was a minister.
Okay.
Yeah. She was a minister. So it was that struggle of, like I said, me being headstrong. I would stay out on purpose, knowing we got to be at church at 7. And 6:30, they riding around the neighborhood trying to find me, and I'm hiding.
Oh my God. I can see you doing that. And why would you hold up your family from going to church? And you're gonna get whooping. You got plenty of whoopings, didn't you? I can imagine you got all kinds of
Yeah, I did.
Oh my
They
goodness.
spared the rod. They didn't spare the rod.
Where would you hide though? Where would you hide?
Nah, I just be all over the neighborhood. Like I would go in places that I know they can't drive in. I'd be all over the place.
Oh God, who's that place you wouldn't even drive?
And I know they got to be to church at 7, so they only gonna spend at least 5 to 10 minutes trying to find me. If not, so I just got to survive 10 minutes. That's all I had to do.
That's the thing, Jeff. You know you're gonna get in trouble because where else you gonna go? You live there. You know you live with these people. You didn't think this too. Oh, that's too funny though. But so we're going into the whole church thing. So just to make sure that we establish this, what is your spiritual belief now? I just want to make sure I have that.
I'm a believer. I'm a God-fearing man. I'm a minister myself now.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, I didn't know that either. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's good to know. This is what I gotta get ready for later. Okay, I gotta put out some stuff for later. Oh yes. Thank you for letting me know. Do
it. Yep. So that's why it's like all full circle where it's just like, yo, I turned around and like I said, my mom was a minister. Now I'm a minister. My mom was the way I picked up some of her parenting, you know.
But you know what? And just based on what you were saying about you rebelling and how you grew up, can you repeat that scripture about train up a child?
Train up a child in the way it should go, and it should not depart. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. See, you know, it's always going to be embedded in you. So, but thank you for sharing that because that's so important. Because a lot of times, you know, there's certain elements to our childhood that a lot of our children, a lot of us miss out on. So I'm so glad that you're able to be that person, that liaison, that you the way that I'm talking as far as you know what you're doing now, and we'll get into. So you know, so I'm so glad that you're able to share that. So now let me get into the elementary, junior high school of it all, because a lot of times, like I say to my other guests, that we don't touch on that, you know, the elementary, junior high school phase, because they don't understand how much of self-discovery that involves. You know, they always go into high school, college. Yes, we know that, of course, we understand that there's some discovery there, but elementary, junior high school, that's like a pinnacle time. That's a pivotal time in all our lives. You know, we're discovering our anatomy. We're kind of trying to figure out who we're into, whether girls or boys. I mean, no judgment. We're hopping in the staircases, we're, you know, school lunches, we're interacting with the teachers and, you know, and how they, how they affect, you know, our abilities, you know, to kind of factor everything in. So I just want to get into that elementary and junior high school, that time frame, because that's around the time when you said that you started to really, you know, feel yourself. So I was just want to get in more, like, were you a part of any clubs? Like, how were your grades? Like, were you a shy kid, popular kid? Like, get into the elementary and junior high school stuff. And also that's when you puberty and acne and all that. So,
so elementary and junior high, I was always, I would say, you know, I was always a known kid. I was always a part of the cool kids. Elementary, I was a little rough. So you're gonna make me dead. Look at you.
I'm ready. Come here.
So I had a little bit of elementary school. I was going to Randall Highlands, and
how many school? Well, you got kicked out of what school? Elementary.
This was one of the elementary schools I went to. Yes.
Elementary. Lord Jesus.
Yeah. I got kicked out of DC schools at that point. So I had an attitude problem. I don't remember what the teacher did, but the teacher told me that she would take the pizza back out of my stomach that she had just gave me, and you know, I picked up a pencil and I said, "No, you won't." And you know, I know I didn't try to, you know, hit her, stab her with the pencil, but I guess the act period, like it was. I just had an attitude issue. Middle school, I was doing dumb stuff. Like I was always getting in fights. Because at this point now I'm transitioning over into Maryland schools, and it was a little different in Maryland schools and DC schools. So I was always getting into fights. Of course, I used to always mess around with the girls. And I almost got kicked out of middle school because I had set the trash can on fire. I was just.
But where's all this come? Like I asked before, Jeff, where it had to come from. So where all this aggression? Where does all this come from? Where how does it all unleash on?
I just had I had an attitude problem.
It's just,
and I don't know where. I mean, I know where it came from. My mom had the same thing, but it just. I guess it just came out. I mean, anything that would tick me off. I had a problem controlling my anger. Let's say that because I did in middle school. I had to go through a program, to an anger program. I had to go through an anger management program, and that really helped me. That really helped me a whole bunch. So I had to go through this program. It was through the courts. I had to go through this program, and I believe that the program was probably about 5 months long. I had to go once a week for like 5 months. And that's where I really learned how to be able to control the feelings and the urges that I would get. And that still helps me out even through adulthood. Like I'm so calm now. Like I'm just so calm. Like it takes a whole lot to get me angry. It takes a whole lot to get me angry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm glad that you said that, but also just keep in mind that, and I want to stay here real quick because, and I'm glad that you said that because we have to pick our battles, and that was hard for us around the age group that you're talking about. Because I know I used to let small stuff upset me, or I used to just get amped up or worked up. But a lot of and even now today, I'm always misunderstood anyway. Even when I'm acting even talking to you right now, someone could say I'm aggressive, just even talking to you right now. So you can imagine, back then, just like, so that's why sometimes I've always been antisocial. But I also wanted to just kind of add a little bit realistic aspect to it, because yes, I do agree that you need to pick your battles and know when to be angry, but I just want the people to know that it's okay to allow the anger to let out the anger, because it's an emotion that we have to have.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that you just got to unleash it in every given moment, or you have to just use it, maliciously. I'm just saying that a lot of times we hold stuff in. A lot of times, and I always talk about toxic positivity. There's such thing as toxic positivity, and some people, when I add certain realistic aspects of certain things, they think I'm being negative. No, not at all. What I'm saying is that stop trying to deprive people from the healing process. Part of the healing process is to release anger and understand why that anger resides within us. And that's the only way you're able to heal, is to address the anger and why it's happening. That's all I'm trying to say, you guys, so, and so Jeff, is saying like, okay, it takes a lot to upset me, but to get to that point, Jeff, and I mean, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but to get to the point what you said, you had to address where the anger was coming from. So, given the anger management classes that you had to attend, what was those things addressed? Can you share with us some of the cliff notes of what some of those things were addressed in your approach towards understanding why you were being rebellious? Because I mean, teenagers are going to be teenagers, kids are going to be kids anyway. But there was extra, because burning the garbage can ain't normal. So I just want to know, like, what was your approach towards that? Like, can you share, like, from your anger management classes, what was your approach towards releasing, and then also learning when to address certain things in the right way to make the healing process more smoother? So yeah.
So I really, because it was so long ago, so I will say the counting, of course. I mean, people say that's cliche, but that's real. Like, if you take a second and, you count, sometimes you got to just sit in silence and not respond immediately.
Yes.
And really think about, was it really, is it really worth it? Sometimes you got to find a healthy way to express your anger. And sometimes you have to learn how to communicate your anger. And I'm still to this day, I'm learning that. Still to this day. Like it's a forever learning process. But you really got to just sit back. A lot of times now, I just let things roll off my back. Sometimes it's mistaken for as nonchalant, but I'm not really nonchalant. I'm just like, it's not that serious. You got to know yourself. You got to know yourself. It's not that serious for me to take myself there. So I'm gonna leave it alone at this moment, and hey, we'll talk about it eventually.
Let's revisit it. Yes, yeah. It's okay to let cooler heads prevail and revisit it, because I always say you got to address it. Don't just sweep it under the rug. I'm gonna just let it go. It's all right. I'm gonna let it roll off, and that's when you become explosive later on, because you think that you could just forgive. And that's the thing I want to talk to you about too, Jeff, about forgiveness, because that plays a part in what we're talking about as well. Because some people, they don't understand the true concept of forgiveness and how it works for multiple people, because it isn't measured the same for you, for everyone. It has a unique approach to it. So I really want I want you to get more into that part as far as forgiveness, and also learning not only to pick your battles, but not tolerate. There's certain things you don't tolerate. There's a difference between learning how to pick your battles and the level of tolerance that you're able to accept. So can you just kind of go over that perspective, please?
So I think forgiveness is major. If you don't forgive, then they always hold on to a trigger on you.
Yes.
I looked at Tracy Morgan's situation, right? You familiar with that?
Yes, I did.
I saw the Tracy Morgan situation, and I said he missed a major opportunity. The opportunity that he missed was the opportunity to heal, because he was holding on to something that happened to him so long ago that when he saw that guy, it automatically took him back there, and he automatically saw bully. When in actuality, at this point in life, years later, the guy's not actually a bully. He was at his weakest point asking for help. And no, you ain't got to empty your pockets for him, but that was the opportunity to say, you know what? Come on, man, I'll get you something to eat. And let him know how that affected you back in the day, and let him know that you forgive him. And in the same turn, you're helping him in the same space. So now, if you ever run across that man again, guess what? It's not a trigger anymore, because you was able to deal with that trigger and you was able to heal right there in that moment. So that's why I believe forgiveness is so important. It's for you. It's for you. It releases one of the triggers that people hold on.
Yes. Yeah. So just to kind of piggyback on what you said, and I do agree to an extent, and I'm gonna tell you why. But just to give the audience context to what we talking about, there was
you from New York, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so somebody in the comments responded to me. Yeah, us New Yorkers are different. We don't. But go ahead, I'm listening.
Good. You good? You live on your end?
Huh?
You live on your end? You good on your end on Instagram?
I don't know if I'm on. I don't know if I'm on. So I had to switch over to my phone. So.
Oh, okay. But good. I'm glad that you have some engagement. Okay, so good. All right. So yes, I am originally from New York. But just to give a little context to the audience, there was an incident a couple of months ago where Tracy Morgan was at a game. I think it was at a basketball game, and backstage, there was someone from his past that approached him, and so he revealed that he was homeless, and he was like, "I'm homeless, boy." And the fact that boy part, that that kind of stuck with me too. But I'm gonna get to that too. So Tracy Morgan was like, "Oh, don't think I owe you. I don't owe you anything, And that level of entitlement sometimes happens as well. So it was that exchange, and so he was like, "I'm homeless, bro." And so Tracy Morgan was like, Well, that's it. Like I think what she said. I don't know verbatim, but it was something like a you problem, or that has something to do with me, or
Yeah, he
something.
said that's something that ain't, and there's something else about I take care of my kids, and
You,
he just went down the rabbit hole. Like,
yeah, okay. And so what I wanted to say was that I did do a video on this, and so and I do agree with you when it comes to forgiveness, because it is for you, and it's so healthy, you know. But again, the process is different, right? Because just because you forgive, some people don't understand this. Just because you forgive someone, forgiveness does not require you to still have the same type of dynamic interaction with that person, because you can move on and lead with love, but you can also love from a distance.
Yep.
You know, that's just me. So that Tracy Morgan situation. Now I know you said that at that moment he wasn't a bully. We don't know that, because my thing is that we don't even know the nuance of like what we don't know the the in between of what happened and the impact that that man had on Tracy at that time, because there must have been something really impactful that really with him. Because I'm sure that I don't know. I mean, he might hold a bit of a grudge. I don't know. We don't even know if Tracy Morgan fully forgave him or not, or he's still holding a grudge. But it had to be something very impactful for him, and they never had the opportunity to have the conversation to address it, like you said about, okay, this is how you made me feel when you said this or did this to me. Obviously, they didn't have that conversation. So in Tracy's mind, he's still that bully from back in the day, because because it was never no in between. There was no conversation. It was that impact and the effect of what happened or what he's done. And so, I mean, because I don't know if you believe in karma, but I do. I do believe that karma exists, and we don't know when it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So, and I think that this is, and I don't want to say, because I don't want to sound insensitive, because I'm very compassionate. Don't get me wrong, I am. I really am, but I do. Yeah.
So I would say in that. So when I say he wasn't a bully in that moment, so one thing we know about bullies is bullies don't like to show weakness.
Of course,
they don't like to show vulnerability.
They're the most insecure, right? They're the most insecure.
And when he approached Tracy in that moment, I feel like he was asking for something. He was asking like, "Hey, you know what? Can you help me out? I'm hungry." Like he was showing weakness. He was showing vulnerability. So I was just saying, Tracy probably still saw him as the bully because that's what he remembered him as. But in that moment, it was like he was at his most lowest moment or lowest point. So that's what yeah.
And I get it, but that's the thing. Before, and I understand he's at the lowest point and he wanted help. But I think it would have helped if at that moment, even though it was like kind of a lot of things going on, commotion going on, he could have said, "You know what? I know I acknowledge what I did and I'm sorry." He could have led with "I'm sorry" at least. It could have started there. And maybe it could have, like Tracy could have kind of, let his guard down a little bit if he would have started off with saying, "I know I did you wrong and I'm sorry." But the fact is, I'm homeless, boy. Like it's like I heard a voice of entitlement.
Did he say boy?
Yeah, he said boy at the end. I'm homeless, boy.
Oh, I thought he said bro. Okay.
Yeah, so it's just like it was like entitlement in his voice, and it's like like, "Oh yeah, I know I did you wrong, but here, this is where I am right now. Here we are." So it's like it's just like it's so many missing pieces that we don't. But again, I do understand both sides of it. I try to meet these things in the middle. And I was saying that we don't know the impact because I was bullied, and I understand how how it is when you you try to disengage with certain people, but at the same time, again, love from a distance, because being a spiritual person myself, as believing in God, a lot of times people think that because you're a child of God or you have certain spiritual beliefs that, again, it makes it with level of tolerance that we're going to just forgive, or you're going to give me grace anyway because I did this. You're going to be graceful because that's who you're supposed to be because you're a child of God. So they add God when it's convenient.
Yeah.
So yeah, but
what would you have done in that moment?
Oh goodness. Good question.
So let's think of, you said you've been bullied before. Let's think of the number one bully in your mind. What would you have done in that moment?
I would have said hello. I would have said hi, and I would have been like, I don't know. I don't think I would have walked off so coldly. I would at least heard. I would have heard the person out. I would have heard the person out. I probably would have waited for an apology, but if I didn't get, if I didn't get one, I would have still been able to hear some backstory. I want to be able to hear
Mhm.
the, and I also want to have the opportunity to say, well, okay, I hear what you're saying, and I understand that you have some the circumstances that, they're unfortunate,
Mhm.
but I just want you to understand, or are you aware, or do you remember, um, some of the things that you've said and done to me, in the past that we never got to address? Are you aware of it? And is there any accountability on your part? Are we gonna have that conversation? I don't, because I want us to have that conversation.
And then
Yeah,
if they would have cried, broke
that's
down,
just
and
that's
said,
just me.
"Man," and if they would have cried, broke down, and say, "Hey, I'm so sorry. I apologize. We were kids, didn't know what I was doing." If they gave you the whole spiel, then would you have got
Yeah,
them a cheeseburger?
yeah, with cheese on it.
Okay.
Some tomatoes. Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
all I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
but it also depends on the situation at hand.
Mhm.
But yes, but yeah, but because like I said, I'm not, but but I'm glad that you that was a good example, that Tracy Morgan piece. So,
Yeah.
but so given wait, so were you bullied?
No, I wasn't bullied.
Well, okay, but I know you was aggressive. But were you because the difference between being aggressive and being a bully. So were you? But you were aggressive. But were you a bully?
No, I wasn't a bully. No,
Okay.
I ain't do that. I ain't mess with people that was, you
Uh,
know. Uh,
yeah,
I
but you
only
was.
mess. I only mess with other aggressive people.
Oh, that's what it were. Okay. You match energies. Oh, okay. You match. Got you. So okay, so we going back. Okay, so we went. You shared about your experiences in elementary, junior high school, and how your actions had led up to needing anger management to know how to channel that anger, and you was able to address where it was coming from and how to be more proactive. How to handle it, so they have a handle on it, right? And so with that, with all the teachers that of all the things that you were able to be to receive from that, how did that lead you from moving forward? Like, where did it start? Like, okay, you went from being rebellious to family schooling, and you had the anger management.
Mhm.
You had those resources. So from getting those resources and learning what you was able to learn,
Mhm.
what can you take me back to one of the first things? Let me see. Like, I'm trying to word it properly. What were the first things that you remember where you had to use what you learned? That's what I want to say. What is one of the first instances that you had to use what you learned?
Well, I didn't really use what I learned until probably I got out of high school. I mean, it was probably through high school. It tamed me a little bit. You know, I just wasn't as quick. I wasn't as quick to throw the hands. I
Right.
wasn't as quick to you know just snap off.
Yeah. It took.
I was able to tone it down a little bit.